An inch in so I can grab that. I need that part to grab.
So probably 4 or 6 feathers. And then
this is important. That's important because you spread them out. See how they went that way with it? You don't have to be clean, and you can always rely on doing it in hand. Just get used to it. It's simple. This is the best way to do it, rather than putting 2 vices. If you get this method down, then you're free to roll. Really. See, so that's plenty. Yep. Come on back. Transition. You start right there. That's nice. You put 2. Doesn't have to be see-through, but it doesn't hurt. And see now, I'm not going to push this all the way back as far as I can. I'm just going to get it enough. Because I don't want this thread to move into a different position, get behind the butt ends, and then they don't come forward. You know what I mean? So I just have to, all this does is allow me to push the fiber back and get it into this hand.
No. Didn't hear anything about it. A lot of snow in there.
Now, all you got to do, again, just to get this in front, just pull it, even with the mono, cross it over, and you're in front. Now you start to control the angle. That's that whole transition.
Only 5.5 hours.
That's what makes it different. That's the unique part about tying hollow style.
Now this weekend we're going to Lancashire.
And I just want to get this angle. It's pretty high now, right? I'm just going to start with the thread, just to start to bring it down a little bit more. I don't want to knock it down too far because I want to have some size. Again, I manipulate it and I feel my fingers, and like I say, I want to go a little bit more to my left. There's, you got to consider also the static electricity in here. Okay, that you get.
Spit, nothing like spit.
electricity in the air.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm started.
Jerry,
Did you tie these down?
Jerry should come.
You go liquor, right?
No, that's
He did a couple the other day too.
Okay.
One of them came out real nice.
Yeah.
They're all the same length.
See, the idea is if you get the same, because it's all about tape. And the easiest way for me to teach it wouldn't be. See, normally when I used to make my first ones. The taper started all the way back here. This would be long, and then these would be shorter, shorter, and shorter as I went forward. And then you had a lot of, size and everything up. If you get a spot on the tail, generally it'll run equal length. All these fibers are pretty much equal length from say here to here. So if I take equal lengths every step, but I move the step 1/4 of an inch, then you start making it taper. So I don't have to really explain it. It's simple. Then you have the transition. It still looks good. That's how these are all made. All right, they're just moved. The only difference in length is is the distance from one tie to another. Okay, so that's how, and boom. The lay down, I didn't have to do much at all. Okay.
Would you space them more as you went forward?
You can do that. I can do them either tighter when I go forward, usually I go tighter, because I want it more dense in the front. There's a lot of things you can do with this. I mean, that's you can do all that a little bit later as you see fit. But for now, what you need to do is you got to capture the taper, get a nice shape to it. You don't want to make it excessively heavy. Fiber count in this, these two are much more than what they are in here. See, this to me is the evolution of the beast. And if I showed you the first couple, they were as big as this one, but they were 2 to 3 times as thick as this. heavy, and it was harder to cast. This is just a piece of cake. 8-weight, 9-weight, and you can cast it well, you can get. So there's just this is designed. It evolved into what becomes a better fly. It's quicker to tie. It's easier to cast. Swims beautifully. Okay.
What stage did you add the feathers?
Whatever you want. You can put them. It doesn't matter. You can do it. You can do it like when you put them in reverse. You have the butt ends. You can put them right over top of the butt ends and fold the bucktail back. Or you can get done doing the fold of the bucktail back and then put a couple in. It doesn't really matter because these feathers here are very skinny, very thin. There's no width to them. They're like thick bucktails, if anything. They're not like the feathers. So they're just there to sort of maybe give a little bit. What I found is I don't like these to be much longer than the length of the bucktail fibers because then it looks foreign. It looks like seaweed.
What is that?
No, this is all just feathers.
Right here. These are
Yeah,
feathers.
these are just feathers. You can use ostrich. This is ostrich in here. There's some in there. It all depends. This is when you go on your own and you just say, let me play. So
Just like a saddle tackle you're using for that?
yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah. And then another thing you do is this one. This is the one that I had some underwater footage of it, and when I started to see some of these feathers here, I cut them.
I'm sorry?
Believe it or not, they were long. But you see where they're coming out of the side up and the top out here, and they would stick out here. So I cut them, and then I shaped the tips a little bit, all right, so you don't notice it as bad. But when I watched it in water, these things were so far longer than the fly itself, it looked like it was weeds got caught in it. At least that's my interpretation. I said, that, no more. I don't like that. So, they moved okay, because that's what I wanted to get. But what I didn't like was that it was too far beyond the natural shape of the bucktail. Okay, it was too far. And back here you got a little bit more length, but really no more than an inch further than the length of your tail. You establish the silhouette with the fibers of bucktail. You could enhance a little bit, add a little more length, a little bit more of a different movement in the fly with feather tips, but don't do too much. Then the other thing I did was instead of using bucktail in here for color, I just take feathers. Again, they're only short. These were not cut. That's the length that I put them in. So that was the color, the cheek colors, the belly colors, the pinks, the blues, the tans. You just tie them in, and they seem to stand out better than if it was bucktail.
That's from 2 years ago.
All right. Again, that's just me. I like the angel hair flash in between.
All the 8%
It's as thin as the fibers of bucktail. It seems to fit right inside. So what you see is a sparkle. You don't see a big flash.
Rebuilt it here. I went to
You see a fly that has sparkle. And when you pull it through, you move.
When you tied your feathers in, you tied it to the back of where they before you did
No,
your
see,
reverse ties.
it doesn't. We're talking about that. It doesn't matter. You can do it anytime. It does not matter. No.
I may go back and serve it after the.
No, but you can do because you always have all that room. You have all that room, so you can use it. I've also done it where this white one. Look at this one.
Where your flash didn't either.
No. See this one? Can you guys see the red in there?
Yeah.
Hold it down for the Bob. That's this here. All right. So I like these things, but it's have to find a use for it because it really doesn't do you any good unless there's a purpose. You don't see very many flies with white heads and red bodies, red tails, right? So I went down to here. You can see where I got that part from. Down here, so I can get it to flare. And that's all I did. That's where it is. So you don't see red all the way down here. You just see it where the gills would be. All right. So that's what I did with this. And then also, I want a little more bulk in the front. Okay, it's kind of been in a flat package. So what I do is, see the butt ends. I'll get fibers from down low. Okay, sometimes you get some nice long ones. And I'll do is I'll tie these long ones in, but I'll leave the butt ends and I'll pull it tight. It's almost like a bulkhead, but it's the other way that I make a bulkhead. I let the butt ends, they're all here. They're not trimmed out. That's what you see. That's the bulk. I don't know if you can see that. That's the bulk. The butt ends that I left unwrapped back down, I'll make them longer than normal so that they can contribute to bulk in the head. I don't know. No, and I leave. They're good and secure, but you leave that in there because that gives you good. It gives you a good little body in there. So this is a little fuller here, and then all of a sudden this goes down. It's tapered. This moves. This is wispy in the back. That's the idea. The other thing you say, well, you know what? Maybe it looks like you can see everything through the light, but when it's in the water, notice this when it was at the Somerset show at the Fly Time. We have a pond there, and we would take these and put them in a pond, and it was this fly that I was doing it with. We had a little rod, and it had a line on it, and we just would, move this through the water in the pond. This would lay down, and you would be able to see everything on the pond below it. All right, you can see the pebbles, no problem. Then once I know when I initially start to move it, what happens? These fibers, they're all open in the water, and you see right through it. Once you start to pull it, these things all, because they are one after the other, they overlap each other. So once they move, then all of a sudden you can't see through the fly anymore. So you get the good presence of a solid bait in the water. You get the opaqueness of a fly, but in reality, you tied it real sparse. So once the fly moves, all of a sudden you don't see through it as easy as you would think. When it sits there by itself, yeah, it overcovers in it, and it really works out pretty good, but then you don't have any fiber count. So then you still make it easier to cast. It moves better. When, I'll tell you another thing about this one, in the water here, I wanted this bulk up front. Nice long fibers and all. It didn't move. It just didn't move. The head stayed very static. Just boom. And this moved nice out here. Everything was all very enticing behind it, but this I was disappointed in. So I'm aware of that. So I don't know what else to tell you. These are some of the things. Yeah, it's all about, you get the size, you need a fly that you fish with. They're not for the wall. I don't tie them well when I tie them in a situation like this because I'm tying it slow. When I'm sitting at home, I'll tie it real fast. And I throw it together. When I throw it together, it's like a cook. I don't want to put all my spices and measure them and just be precise. They go a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, that tastes the best. Same thing here. When I just throw this fly together, it turns out better. It's so hard to make these flies look good when you're tying them for a fork. Because then all of a sudden I get mistakes constantly. So when I would just make for myself, and makes a big difference. So don't worry about them, tie them. And again, this is the easiest way for me, is to just put the mono in my hand. It's not that difficult. The only thing, I'll get a little sore in here or up in here, but that's only because I'm old. So other than that, this works really good. This is for all you guys that you whip loops in your tackle and all. It's the same thing. But it's the same, and if you've never done that, now it's a good way to learn how to do that, so that you can make loops and whip the line together and make nice strong loops in your fly lines. Okay, it doesn't always, now they buy them that way, they're already made, but they also get hit off by bluefish. They weaken, and then you're going to need to do something. So this is the one good way to do it. And I always like to work. I don't like tools. You can do this with spreaders. You can do this with tying a big tie and then button this up against it to flare them. But I don't really want to do that. I want to be able to do it with a technique. Okay, I want to tie it. I want to be free of having any device to aid me in getting what I want. That's just the way I am. Same thing when I fish. I don't use any nail knot tools, because I'm not going to be responsible having a nail with me or a needle and all that kind of stuff. I want to be able to do it in my hand. So and all that is when we whip finish the end of the fly, that's a snell. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
So that's how you whip a loogie. That's how you finish. So I do it all with hand. I don't want to use, if I use a whip finishing tool, I can't do it. So I learned to whip finish by hand. So then that also helps me when I'm on the water and I'm fishing. I can react to whatever might go wrong. I can put everything together, unless I have, there's times when you're shit out of luck. But I mean, basically, you can do it. If I got monofilament, I can make a loop over here and then get my mono, put it in there and do this, pull it tight, and that loop will be nice and tight. You know what I mean? And I don't have any tools. So it's the same idea with all this stuff. I like to be able, I don't need a vise or nothing. I mean, not that I'm going to be doing much time without a vise, but this makes this all easier for me. I don't like to have, I can tie this on, I guess, as low as 20. And you can go up to real heavy. If you go up to real heavy, you can use this and tie all these things, but I don't really like the real heavy as much as I like something in the middle, which is 50 or 60. 40 to 60, that's what this is. So, all right, I'm telling you a lot. I just don't want to forget a lot because I don't do this that often. Yeah, that's a big 8/0. Yeah. All right, so you got to do this. I won't do it every time, but I do for myself. You got to keep your threads coated. Okay. If you want to, after you take this mono and you get it all done in thread, whatever that's going to be your tying base, you can take a magic marker and you can get a ruler and you can go along there and you can mark it 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, whatever you want, and you can mark them real wide back in the back. And then as you get up towards the hook, you get them maybe a little bit tighter for a few turns. Okay, that's way you can get a good even spacing. It may help you in the beginning, but pretty much you'll end up doing like I'm doing. I just eye it up. Okay, so that's in. Now, what I like is I like to take this, or you can use, if you don't have these, you just put it in your vise. Let me see here. Put it in your bike. All that does is allow you now to go, I can prep everything. If I had to keep that in my hand, it would make it difficult, but I need to have it somewhere where I can free my hands up, get my material, prepare it, and then
Pair of saltwater tweezers. I do that with them.
there's a lot of things you can do. So whatever that way it takes all that stress, oh God, it's going to fall apart,
You have to let go.
So, here we go. Okay. So I can prep this. I'll show you guys about these bucktails in a bit too. These short hairs don't do you any good in this particular fly. It's really just, all it does, it makes your ties bulkier, and it's more fibers that you would have to control, right? So, got the short hairs out, take the butt ends, and I cut everything square. What I got to do, let me turn this around. We're close. It's not even 1/4 of an inch. It's probably less than 1/4 of an inch. Take this out. The thread now is already in the position where I want it. Well, let's move it up a little bit. Back. All right, so there it's in the tying position for the next step. This comes across here. Now I got to get it with this hand. I always tie with two, but I'm not just going to hold it still. I'm going to push it down, take the opportunity to say, all right, now all them fibers are pretty much
Good. How are you?
all the way around. A couple loose wraps, Looks pretty good. I can manipulate again, squeeze here. Looks good to me.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple over there now.
Okay. See how I wrap from this side to that side, all right? Now I'll do it again, and you can manually pull it tight if you want to. If there's extra pressure, a couple of wraps of thread on the outside bar of these bobbins. I'll move it. See my finger roll? I'll move it to that side. That's how I can control the direction of the thread by whipping. Or just come and do it by hand. Okay, so that's now pretty good. Now you can put. We'll take some here. Take some out. Take some here. Put it right in there. That's on. I'll fold it back. Okay, back it goes. Grab it. I don't know if I had good distribution on that one. I'll redo it. Okay, now. If you get some more thread. All right. Try not to allow too many fibers to stay close to one another. You want them evenly spread, okay? Because you got to have equal pressure so that when you start to push everything down, it all goes down exactly the same as the one on the side. If there's more in numbers like grouped together, they resist that thread pressure. They may stay open. So then it becomes a little awkward where instead of having even flare, oh, I got way too far. Or did I? No, instead of having an even flare, you're going to have a couple of copped real close to the mono, and then some flaring way out. So that's the way you can control that, is by just making sure everything is as even. And when you wrap, yeah, see, this one here actually was not a good one because I didn't get good distribution around, but I can handle it there.
This is only 1,000 million.
Forward. Next. It's kind of crazy here. But again, I don't look for make them perfect at all. Just throw them together.
A couple wraps in front.
And I'll just do one more, and then I'll put up onto the hook. You can see I've been staying right in this area. I'm getting pretty far up here. These are much shorter. So I'm going to go right back down here where I began at. This is not bad. No. We got other ones that do the ultimate. Yeah.
I try to pick out the biggest one, man.
See? This is where you go insane. This is 6.5 inches. But this I don't really use this for the hollows. I use it for the bucktail deceivers. This is perfect hollow length. It's got length, yet it's not excessively long where you're wasting real long stuff. Because you're making a long fly. You have the monofilament there.
What do you recommend? Straight fibers, no kinky fibers on this one, right?
Yeah, you can do kinky. This was, look at this. This was not only kinky, it was wavy. But this is fine. That's beautiful. The finer stuff reacts best to your thread pressure. So it brings down, it does what you kind of want it to do more. Okay? There's no perfect bucktail, but that's what I prefer.
You see a lot of some bucktails are really kinky, frizzle type.
Straight, yeah, oh yeah.
I try to aim towards the straight fiber.
Yeah, and usually what they are, they're finer.
Right. The stiff ones are thicker.
Okay? So this is a really nice tail, but that's why I was tell you next is you don't want to waste this. So on some really long tails like this, you don't want to grab down here and cut your bucktail, because some of these shorter hairs are pretty long. So you're going to have to throw them out, right? So instead of grabbing the base and kicking your bucktail, you grab from the tips, pull them back, and you preen it here. That way those shorter hairs that are still pretty long can make great clouds or minnows. So you don't waste them. So then you just have basically either real long and these short ones here, you can either cut them off, right, because you're not going to use it that short. Some tails will have much better mid-length fibers than others, okay, but that's how you learn how to start to preen now, by grabbing the tips coming forward, as these are made, or the way God made them, is that right underneath the ground is the shortest length of the white. Then as it gets further away from the ground, the other side, that's where the longest fibers are. So you know that, and you can get here, you can take all these, you see them come. Come all the way out to the end, that's where they are, out here. The shorter ones are behind that. Look at that. That's long.
Those guys are working the table out there.
That's about but you don't waste it, man. You save it. And a lot of times, a lot of this stuff is where we don't use very often. Years ago, most guys you wouldn't touch this stuff down here. It's too flyaway. So you didn't throw the tail away necessarily when you threw it in the box. And you may have a lot of this kind of stuff at home that you don't know because you used all this. So you may have some real fine long stuff at home. So just check out all your stuff. But, all right, let me get this one more done on this guy. We're gonna get some fiber now. You can see on this, these are all the short hairs on this side. All right, this is the one that I use, I think, for, I don't know, one of them here. But I'll show you. These are great short hairs. Look at them. That's the short hairs. So, you know, it's good for your, one way, especially if you're a commercial tire, it's one way you can get the most out of your bucktail. You got another half a dozen flies out of that, clouders anyway. Okay. Is this ready?
How was that show, Brad? Great.
Alright, face here. A couple light wraps, there's not much tension. You can move this around. Just like that. And I'll just finish in this hand way. Okay, see.
What I don't want to do is
Color fast. Yellow, red, these colors. You don't know until you get it.
Samantha. You can come up with scratch offs, like 5 for Gary and 1 for me.
Yeah. They held that one down or?
Thank you, I hope I hit.
This is one that I did not spread well. I put it on.
She's a sweetheart. She come in and done her.
I love it.
Oh, yes. I remember that name now, yeah.
I can understand that. Yeah, there's not much you can
I
do.
think we're done with that.
She was nice. She was getting black short hair. Right, she was a sweetheart too.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Screaming at me.
You gotta end this. That's our whip
They're
finish.
screaming at a 9-month-old like nothing.
I used to have. She was, yeah, she did. I used to pass her to the shop.
I only do that when they sneeze well.
It's all in your face.
Yeah. There's the tail.
I thought it was so close. Around the whole house.
I don't know if I did the right one.
She used to take her whole toy box and dump it upside down and laugh. Crazy.
The other right.
Yeah.
Wait for me to help him. I just made the whole reason. I didn't say.
John have those books too?
No, he doesn't have these. You gotta get them at the shows pretty much now. Bears then has them.
Bears then had
And
that?
I think you might ask Brad, he may have them too. I don't know, you got, what's his name from the tackle store? Used to have it in town, now it's an Orvis store.
Which one?
Whitewater flies?
Oh, Greg.
Yeah, he should have them too.
They wanted to get out, man. And the best thing about it, so I left 3 minutes later. He put me out.
Okay.
How you guys don't figure out her right? And everybody, and then Mitch left. They swept the floor. And all they had was Matt. And Matt left. One salesman guy. Yep. We got plenty more to come. Shirley in the office. She's
Robert's doing them there. Dump cut the soft, they took out the back about 3/8 to a half an inch.
What, the flag?
Gary.
Yeah. Like in the winter, look
I
like.
guess I'm making your day chiseling down $4,000 on this car.
Colin, trim it, we'll see what I'm talking about.
Well, this one was small. It's still 2,000 too much. Is that range?
Did you watch Oscars?
Yes,
Was it boring?
I didn't like it. There just wasn't much else on.
12-2, 12-6, 12-4. That's like going to 12-5. They used to be mad and mad. I never made it.
I just didn't show.
You used the thread there in the shack just to keep the mono from flopping around? Okay.
I didn't see the East of American Sniper. I couldn't fall asleep, so I just sat there watching. I watched not kickboxing.
One of the things
for martial arts
I try to do too,
for a while when that came out.
I watched Burma. My son was when you watched that. That was good. It was kind of like
reason.
about
That don't hurt.
that.
Because if anything, this material cannot go that way. It'll either go perpendicular or it'll go back.
Okay.
Told the story like, what are you gonna do? That is not
Where's
fun.
that video at? Look at
But it was a really good movie.
you go out there and paddle and swear you're not in. I know.
We have the vineyard there? Where's that, Steve?
That's Sandy Hook.
Oh, Sandy Hook.
Spermaceti Cove.
A bit too far to walk.
Spermaceti Cove. That's the inside. It's a further walk than where I brought you.
I ain't going there. I'll never see it.
Still pretty pristine now, but
Used to be my favorite spot up there, Bob.
Yeah, right.
No longer, yeah.
A very good spot to drift through with a boat too.
A couple things you can do, especially if you have,
Yeah, is that in the winter?
especially if you have thicker mono
like November.
Is you get a pair of pliers that have flat sides on them and flat. Because you have round to round. Unless you're going to use crazy glue, you don't want to use crazy glue. You don't want it to shift. So, but I didn't do it. So I don't have that. Yeah, well, it's like hardest nails. That works fine. This is good too. Real good. Yeah.
Hard as hell.
This is from Tough Flye. This is what we use on the acrylics. Because he said he took whatever contaminant that might be in something like hardest nails, he took it out, and that's how he made this.
You didn't go all the way up to the eye with the mono.
Well, I don't really have to.
Oh, okay.
And really, if I didn't come so far with the mono before, I would have stopped it here.
Oh, okay. So it's not necessary to...
No, it's easier to put this stuff on a round shank than it is when
That was a double round. Yeah, okay.
Everything's gluten free.
It's only going to be good for them.
Oh, it is, yeah.
You still see that. You never see the fish on it.
Yeah.
Where's that tape?
I'd say
You start with the mono that size all the time?
Yeah, pretty much.
What do they measure? 6 inches or something?
No, I get it.
if it ends up
That's what
being
I can
okay.
handle.
It's been poured.
You know what I mean? It's really easy.
If I can get one together, I'll do
Anything
it. I'll
longer,
be glad
if
to
you
do
need it
it.
longer, you
Here,
have
that's really mono's that long.
pretty much. Some might be a little bit longer,
Oh, thanks.
depend on, I would know that going in, that I would really want to make a big one.
That's as the mullet bunch up in the back in September, just before they head out.
This one.
Yeah. Can't make up their mind.
Here we are.
Okay, now, what I do here, see how I can manipulate
Yeah,
that?
just roll
I got
it right
enough where I can
around.
make a little
What it is,
document.
it's just like, now it's got tension. Here I got this butt end with this hand. Take the tension off.
It's all
I can
HD, it's all
manipulate
1080.
it again. Tighten it down, I can let go here. So I can take all that and just do all kinds of stuff with it. All right, see, now there's...
Some of it's with my little Kodak, the little 720 one.
So what you do, you just take
But
the
most of
pressure
it's
off,
with the
and
good
then I
stuff.
can just push it. I'll be able to show you. You can see, you can just manipulate them all back to where you get
It's all
an
just
even
piecemeal outtakes
distribution.
that I just threw on the PlayStation.
Okay, so okay, looks good. Okay, this should be.
Bob, you gonna stay in the vise for the remainder of that now?
Yeah. You taking a video, Steve?
Yeah, it's been going for the last half hour.
Oh, wow. All right.
A couple of tricks there. Good friend of mine, Gary. Gary. All right, nice to meet you, Gary.
Okay.
Did you go over the fibers, Bob, or just pushing them back?
No, you just start to push it back. And
That works out.
oh, that's all ready for the next one? Use a little bit more. It's really fast.
Jack and me calling, I met Jack, I met Leon, I met dozens of guys I've been fishing with. Artificial, no, official something for a while. My brother, I'm gonna try one, you go with it. Official, I'm not just get together with someone, I think I'm on. What was it, 2 plus another one? I had for the salad right on the road.
It was one of those days
Yeah,
where
I want to get a little bit more bulk up on the front.
Tax bracket.
And it's a lot easier to control that up here, so it makes that better.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, right? It's like
You hit that with head cement.
dead low tide. Flat. Yeah, that's
Yeah, you got enough.
flat as
My phone's always off.
Get out there, and if you, and I was struggling to pass out, you get a hit like outside the second bar. If you missed it,
I'm grabbing
you
us
get a
something
hit
there.
inside that bar. And we fish on the outside, carry on the inside.
I thought it was, I wasn't sure.
It's like, you either got to fish on the outside, or you hook your herring on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
Splashing and chopping.
I left that loose on there, so make sure you tighten it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, same here.
Right now, we're going to the Jackson Council. No other alternatives. So it's really like, they're just turning around and saying,
Yeah, they are. They are. They got it locked up. You
yeah, and they can't.
can't get FiOS, you can't get anything else.
Can't get nothing.
That's what I want to do.
You can't get anything approved.
That's
There's like a huge
what I want to do.
signing out there. My bill.
We gotta hook up this somewhere. I'm so hard to bring.
Once in a while, you have I've had like 3
Yeah, that's what you got to do. And that's what everybody will do too, once they get it.
I got one big week fish off this week. Long Island, it was a fluke.
Direct TV is the only other thing.
You can't even do that.
You gotta have the clear sight of line of sight.
That was before the limit, right?
Yeah, I think even at that time, there was still in
Yeah.
You can't watch regular
Not wrong. Get these in, that weakens this better, gives you better control right where the thread goes.
I remember the first, I had been fishing for quite a while.
You know what?
I went up to
Build your
Canada
dam and then come back down.
to fish, to do largemouth bass fishing. At the time, I used to go up there, get a guide and fish. And it was funny because I went up there, I didn't know nothing. The first thing the guy told me was, fishing, you have to slow down. I was doing it with trees and everything. Fish slow. So I took his advice. I would fish like 4 and I was catching fish.
Well, they're not members?
I mean, I had a largemouth, 5-pound range.
That's why I was so surprised.
Smallmouth in like 3.5,
Just an
4-pound
open
range.
invite?
Got a couple of big pike. So I came back. This was like in September. I came back and I was fishing the fall run and casting, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this technique, slow it down. I slowed it down where I would cast the plug out and not touch the reel, count to 5. Then I would twitch it one way, count to 5, and twitch it the other way.
A lot of stuff to just show that in the
I must have caught 30 or 40 bass. Like, within the span of an hour and a half, like every single cast. And they were all shorts, but this was one of those days there were guys lined up shoulder to shoulder across the beach. No one else was catching. I thought I was going to get lynched. I didn't think I would get off the beach alive. But they were all doing the bluefish technique, reeling in straight line, real fast, and I was just casting. It was almost like a slow motion walk the dog. Just to one side, count to 3, twitch to the other side, and it was working. It's actually hard to fish that way.
How have you been, Mark? Are you back there? You still in the other house anymore?
No, I never went back to that one. I'm not going back. He actually is down to still Cinder Rock. I've been in Love since the storm changed.
Yeah, they make you do it.
Yeah, now those pipes 3, when they burst last
Take the longs out.
the hot water one burst, I woke up
Like you let
at
the
12:30, I went to the bathroom,
Oh,
the
geez.
carpet was soaking wet. So I didn't know who to call, so I called Joe. I'm like, Joe, I texted Joe, I'm like, what do I do? I can hear it behind the wall. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, call the cops. If you can't find a shut off, call the cops. So I called the cops. First one that came, I didn't know him. The second one that came, I knew him. They went up in the attic and crawled to the wall and shut it off. Yeah, well, my hot water heater and everything's in there.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So they did that. Then I went over to Joe's house. I got a shop vac. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm shop vac in the whole apartment. Now there's a hole in the sheetrock where they fixed it. They got to come back and re-insulate it and put the heat tape further. Oh yeah, yeah. I've been there for 2 years. Like I really like them and I love my apartment. So I'm gonna give them a chance to, because they did happen last year too. They froze, but they didn't burst. They fixed it. They put the heat tape, but they have to expand it. They didn't go far enough. So I'm like, all right.
From the medium.
Now it's not draining when I take a shower, because that's frozen to the street. That's something not us. It's so cold.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a garage. I'm on a slab.
Another couple weeks, if you'll know.
Oh, I pay for these electrics, so I'm paying for the little space heater that's out in the shower, but
My son was younger and I was happy.
or the water that's on a drip.
Tough winter. Tough
I
winter.
know. I hope it's only a couple more weeks.
Not a great adventure. Yeah.
Are you going back to work, Steve?
It wasn't.
No, you're good.
It's fish, right? It's all catch and release. Boy Scouts troop and a Girl Scout troop right next to each other.
Thank you, sir.
It's regulated catch and release. Yeah, I think it's.
All I'm doing is
We used to do a fishing camping trip once a year.
do 2 more
And I caught. I got a 4.5 pound pickerel. Biggest pickerel I ever caught. I thought it was a pike when I first rode it.
They went to go play. He's back to fly out.
Yeah.
A little bit longer than that.
I know that they restocked it. So last year they fished more.
What about 3/8 to a half? You can have past here.
Because I want.
Like you can tie it in first if you want to, and then do the other one.
Yeah.
Make sure.
I mean, I want to especially I've been fishing out of a kayak for the last 5 years. There's so many so that's one of the ones. A friend of mine does a lot of
Yeah, nice dark flies. They're like a lot of dark colors, like brown and black
sometimes the
together,
saltwater fishing
black and white,
doesn't have that
red edges.
on here. Yeah. Well, even though you go a whole year, like very rarely anything going on. So
Just tying up a bunch
at least you get enough to get out there.
And they want to use anything for carbon
Yeah.
for the bigger
Oh,
ones.
good.
Oh, this doesn't have to go straight over. High profile.
straighten that out. But you get a lot of ladyfish. It's a nice little fight. Once I got the other one, it's just taking just a little time. A lot of emails. I'm thinking that they're all take time schedules. And who on their phones like
Expensive vacation.
Last
That's a long hot walk.
What you do is
Once the kids get older, I can pick up a motorized wheelchair and take down there. Should have seen them at the house of ice. They just couldn't get from one toy to the other. Then they give them,
This has got to be right here.
each give them water, and they get birthday cake at the end. And whoever's having the birthday cake is something like a king's chair almost. And for the parents, it's great. You know, you pay $250, you get a dozen or so kids in there, and it's limited. So it's 2 hours, and then you say goodbye to everybody. No cleanup, no nothing.
But when you take them home, you're like,
When it ended at Bounce University, we went right home. We didn't go back with it.
oh, okay. Yeah, because they go right to sleep.
Yeah.
Trying to tie some fresh water flies once the paper will start to run.
Graduated from grammar school. Shots, did you ever?
Jerry wouldn't have had that in his mouth 5 times.
16th Street Band. Cops. My father.
I said every fly that Jerry has a
Yeah. Every fly. Because DNA.
Yeah, when I was living up there, raised was the place to go, but, you know, it was also one of the most
It's not that great, but it's.
So the guy who won the fly was instructor that took Dennis notes.
Jim's at Main Street right now.
Oh, it is.
wild.
Carol, what was his name?
Jim Vowell.
Wedding.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know.
See your stakes in it.
The other way.
Okay, you mean down there, down by Main
Meeting?
Yeah, I know it's like JFK.
Exactly where he's
I appreciate you showing up.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that works out well for him.
That's how it goes.
Some money coming in.
Get an idea now, I'll wet it, and what it'll do, it'll start
we get money, you know,
take out static electricity. Because don't forget, this is a large fish, this is not a skinny little herring or whatever, this is a bumble. It's large.
I guess you just before the tail looks like it's tied down.
Yeah, actually, this is tight, no, I did. This first couple tied
sections.
normal. First one, then the
straight
second,
back.
all the rest are all tied.
Really?
Well, those are nice flies. Appreciate it. Look like
All right.
Christmas flies.
Okay,
Wait,
right.
make some.
Do it, pizza.
Yeah, I work with North.
I'm gonna go wet that.
Yeah.
What is the key to getting the profile?
Pretty much, it's just, all it is just different lengths. I mean, you're having all equal lengths, but you're moving it a quarter of an inch each time.
As I assured you playing, and then you're just kind of working it flat.
Yeah, and it's
went around the bottom.
yeah, everything goes all around. If you want, you just, when you put your loop around, you squeeze side to side, then you tighten. Okay, then you give you more up and down. Or you can use your 3-finger like this, you can make it more triangular.
20 minutes to find out where that emergency
All right, or the other way, like we do in the bucktail receivers, you don't do it in much of these. You squeeze the top and bottom, and then you make that square. They suspend higher in the water longer. You know, I'm talking about like that.
Time, Harold.
It's all.
Spinnos, get ready for Florida.
Round and shank.
Get ready for Florida.
You got 1, 2, 3 loose wraps of thread at the bottom. That holds it there. And you have the other hand. So you've got the butt ends. Or the tapered ends. 2 hands always on the butt ends. Never one. Only demo.
That's great, that is sugar.
Maybe somebody can see what's going on. But other than that, I am never tying with one. There's always somebody, some spears touching the material. And then you do that, you make those double wraps. Loose wrap, you pull it, if it looks good, you finish it up. If it doesn't, you just come up, manipulate here with this, you play more with it. It's almost like a seesaw kind of a thing, then all of a sudden you get it right. That's it, that gives you the control, then you do it better. But it's a little practice, but once you get it, and it's really helpful.
Well, they'll be back. They take that every meeting.
I'm gonna go wet this guy now.
All right. I think the good one with Bob's style is baseball.
There we go.